Welcome to the Human Frame podcast.
With me, Łucja Hawking. Today I'm joined by Nuria Zyden, and she is a Uyghur activist and the founder of the Irish Uyghur Cultural Association. As a Uyghur woman with family directly impacted by the genocide, she speaks out on the violation of human rights, women's rights, and cultural survival. Through her advocacy and storytelling, Nuria works to preserve Uyghur identity while raising awareness on the ongoing persecution. She is committed to amplifying the voices of her community and build solidarity through culture and hope. Thank you so much for joining me, Nuria, and it's great to catch up with you again after a while.
Thank you so much for having me, Łucja. It was lovely to speak with you again.
So I just want to start with your background and your story, really, of why I think, basically to tell those who don't know what the Uyghur genocide is and what it really means for you personally. I mean, I mentioned a bit of it, but it would be great to hear in your words.
We Uyghur people is ethnically is Turkic, religiously predominantly a Muslim people, and our land is a vast land. So when we talk about why this has happened, it's not happening overnight. The Uyghur repressions, it's since happening since 17 years of colonizations. As a Uyghur, when we say genocide, it means a state-directed project to erase entire ethnicity, entire people. It's systematic, mass detentions, forced labor, torture, policy to stop giving a birth to Uyghur populations, Uyghur women, sterilizations, even state sponsor to marrying Han Chinese entirely to change our ethnic group, breaking families, turn apart children to boarding school, ban on language, speaking Uyghur language, practice our faiths, and also the civilians that control every aspect of our Uyghur daily life. It doesn't just stop in Chinese border. When we speak abroad, like when I speak out, my relative, my mom at home back Kashgar, they are being questioned, punished, and entirely cut off from contacting me. And even I face harassment, follow, and threatening in the democratic country.
And when you say, I think what I want to get to as well is the fact that the acts that a lot of activists do in, for example, in the UK or in America, all that kind of stuff, it does impact family members in the Uyghur region as well. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's definitely, that is kind of very much when we speak out, immediately our family members being targeted, they want to intimidate us. China doesn't want the world know what is happening to Uyghur people, but it means living with deliberate silence. We live in a democratic country, but still cannot exercise our freedom of speech. We still speaking with self-cancer. I cannot safely call my family since 2014. Loved one vanished without track. My children who born in Ireland, growing up unable to hear my part of family and their grandparents' voice. Every holiday has been empty chair. But again, if I'm not speaking out, I feel the guilt. I feel guilty. I feel the responsibility because many people doesn't have a choice. They can speak. So I feel I have obligation to speaking out, even risking my family back, cutting off entire of my family.
And as you mentioned, it's quite I mean, many Uyghurs do that because of the guilt and then the kind of, I don't know, I guess it's more about, wanting to do something because you're gonna ultimately help, right? Because by having the genocide recognized as a genocide internationally, what does that mean?
If my voice here risk my family, you can imagine they don't have any freedom. That is lack of freedom. But I'm here still not speaking. Who's gonna speaking for them? Human rights are not a menu. Nowadays, I can see in EU Parliament, in Ireland, our Irish people stand up for Gaza, for Ukraine, for Sudan. I really appreciate those voice, but human right is not selective. I would be really appreciate people also recognize that Uyghur struggle, Uyghur genocide. You don't have to choose those for free that matter. So as a Uyghur, even risking my family members back home, even risking my safety here, I feel that is right things to speak.
And when did you first become aware of what was happening in your community? And how did that understanding evolve over time, obviously, because you grew up in the region?
I born and raised in Kashgar. Being a Uyghur is difficult, it's challenging because state media always see Uyghur as politically disloyal, culturally disadvantaged. The amount of repressions as Uyghur identity background, it was there. Even my parents deliberately sent me to Chinese school. Then 18th and 19th, they have quite few Uyghur schools still running, but we speak Uyghur at home. Even those see as a suspicions, they want us not ended up those in prison concentration camp. My family is very cautious. They always ask me, do not involve any politics, do not speak about any Uyghur issue, anything. That is the way we're growing up as a repression, as a Uyghur, always seeing as a second-class citizen, as a backward. Although I went to one of the first, one of the best university in China, Petroleum University of Beijing, I was doing very good. But when I graduated, I couldn't get a job. I studied petrol import export. So I ended up searching a job in multinational company. Still, I'm very lucky compared to so many Uyghur people. And my company sponsor my passport, visa, because being Uyghur always seen as a discrimination. That's why I want to go for go for a democratic country. That was my dream. Like, especially I experienced during Beijing Olympic, there was a massive repressions, detentions for Uyghur people, sending all Uyghur businessmen from Beijing to back home without any trial, anything. You can just be detained because of you are Uyghur. And then 2009, I was in Urumqi. I personally witnessed the 5th of July Urumqi riot massacre, and that was heartbroken. I don't think there's any place for Uyghur, any ears we can braid. So I tried my best through my contact. I came to Ireland to study my master degree. And since then, 2013 is my last time to visit my home family. 2014, I supposed to bring my children for summer holiday. My mom told me, do not come back. And then from 15, I noticed most of people, my old classmate, friend, relative, they all blocked me on the WeChat app. Then I still didn't really know, and then around 2017, we started to heard loads of story from Uyghur diaspora, their family disappear. I start to become very suspicious. They report, we start to think back home, re-education. First, China deny about those camp, and then they start to say that is re-educated people to get into, like, many people vanishing, and my relative, my friend, my mom was only one kept me there, but she trying to say we cannot speak, maybe you can just post your phone photo. That's by then I start to know having a contact in abroad even see as a suspicions, and then 2018 it was undeniable because messages everywhere, the camp photos. So neighborhood change and the family warning us to do not call. Even my mom started to block me from time to time after I spoke publicly abroad. 2018-19, I support some Uyghur diaspora, but so when report from home speaking of undeniable, many Uyghur diaspora start to saying their family members is disappeared, and the messages stopped it. Even my mother stopped to block me from time to time, and then she unblocked me, put on some family photo, but asked me do not message, do not call. those so many news is undeniable, and even Chinese couldn't deny anything. They said that is re-education, rationalize people to join their to support those extreme people, to educate them. And then I was still not brave enough to speaking out, because I think in speaking out will definitely cause my family back home. But I feel pity. My heart is pain. I sleeping with nightmare, always wondering where is my family back, if my elderly mom is still living safely at home. How about my sibling, my cousins, my classmate? That was a very difficult moment. And also hearing so many friends in abroad, their family miserable story, locking down, vanishings. So I was supporting them on the back. But then since 2023, I started publicly speaking out. Then I heard the news and I got threatening message, email about my mom in the detentions, questioning. She asked me, do not speak anything against China.
It's really difficult because you said it's wanting to speak out in order to help, but then you might cause risk to your family. Are there moments when they don't reply sometimes that you do think that they might be in, like you said, re-education camps, which for people that don't know are concentration camps? Because I mean, the from reports and stories and I mean books that I've read from Uyghurs that have been in the re-education camp is just horrific. It just brings me back to, you know, what was happening in Auschwitz in the 1940s, right? It was very similar in terms of maybe not the gassing type, but experiments and sterilizations and brainwashing, all of those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's many people beginning we don't know, even the China is denying, but after the Uyghur diaspora, the family disappearing, all this, no phone calls, no visit, no update, and entire Uyghur people passport being confiscated, they not have a right to, their applications is denying, their moment is controlled, even they not allowed to contact anybody abroad. Then I'm kind of living in that kind of how to say, nightmare, and I always wondering if because of I'm speaking out, they might be harshly punished, or if I don't speak out, I feel guilt because at least I have a choice to speak in here, but they don't have a voice. That's kind of responsibility to speak in because they cannot. It's a kind of double bonding. It's yeah.
No, I completely understand. And in terms of why this is happening, can you, because Uyghur culture is obviously really rich. It's such a beautiful culture with a really deep history. Can you tell me more about that? And then obviously how that's very different to Chinese culture, I assume as well.
Yeah, because China, because it's a communist Chinese party, they want to see the people as a kind of unified communists, and they against all the religions, not about Islam, but also Christianity or really practice of Buddhism. So they believe communism is a religion. And the secondly, after, I would say this is start from 1992, after the Soviet Union collapse, those Turkic nations like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, they got independence. China started to look at the policy. They wanted tightenings, control Uyghur, want to really erase entire ethnic people. From thinking it was kind of harsh crackdown, building the system. But still, because Uyghur is a very strongly resilient to our culture, our language, our religions, that's why they systematically build those kind of detentions to erase the entire people, but also feeding into forced labor. This is, again, it's very typical for colonizations. When you look at the Uyghur land, although the population is not that large, 12 to 11 millions, but the land is really large. The Chinese produce clothes, cotton, 80% is from our region, the best quality of long mile cotton. And then the soil, like petrol, mineral, real ears, that we are very rich with that. We said one black and white is cotton, black is petrol. Those resources, they want the entire control. And then when you look at geographically, it's very strategically very important for China, the border. So they just want to, they're afraid of Uyghur people will demand for the freedom to build a.
And I recently read, because obviously with the forced labor, a lot of the time they were doing it in the Uyghur region, right? But because of a lot of, international recognition, or not even recognition, but just awareness of what's happening, for example, companies such as Shein, Uniqlo, Nike, I think as well, using cotton from those regions. I think more people are becoming more aware. And with the whole tomato paste scandal as well coming out this year, with tomatoes being picked from the Uyghur region by Uyghurs that obviously are in re-education camps, I assume, or something similar. I read that they're now moving Uyghurs outside the region to then say that it's not forced labor. I don't know if you have anything to add with that, or if there's anything else that might be quite alarming that people should still kind of think about. Just because they're saying it's not forced labor doesn't mean that it's not.
Yeah, we have very brilliant article published 2 days ago, yesterday actually. The journalist Joe Gavin did a very deep, carefully research analysis, and when you look at that, they are detaining people feeding into forced labor, and also they snitching those young people from village, country, minimum pay kind of a boarding school, controlling them in the mainland China factory, let them working on long hours, only paying minimum wages. This is another way they feed Uyghur population to forced labor, but also to take away those young girls from their home regions, and then they will go to mainland China, force them to marry Chinese people to kind of erase entire populations and next generation. Especially now we don't have Uyghur language school, bringing children to orphanages or boarding school, and preventing birth policy, sterilizing Uyghur women. In this way is separating separating us from our root. With forced labor, it's kind of very complicated when you look at the supply chain, because my first job in China was working in supply chain. It's a very difficult. Even the products is not import from China. When you look at the product, if you look at the documentary film from RTE, Joe Gavin did brilliant work. When you look at the tag, actually they tell us so many story. Probably even me, I go to shop, I will never buy things from China, but when I see from Bangladesh or some other country, I will say, oh, that's safe. But they will shape those, manufacture the products or the cotton to those area. Still the Uyghur people will hand pick those cotton. Even the school terms, I remember even we was in the secondary school, we were sending to those hand fields to hand pick the cotton. It's kind of a school program, but now it's getting more serious, and they're bringing those young people to the factory, staying the limit, like military. They had a loads of documentary camp survivals. The lady who was teaching in the camp in Chinese language, they all have a personal testimony, that a mountain of evidence to show how we will become a target for those forced labor.
And you mentioned women and girls being forced to marry Chinese men, and what is the unique challenges that women and girls face under persecution as well? Because obviously there's this impacts that men don't always necessarily have that women always do.
Yeah, and when those kind of things happen, I think women become the first target, to erase the entire populations from the birth preventions, family separations, take away women children's, like 900,000 Uyghur children's from the analysts, well documented, they're separate from their family. I think to orphanages or the government boarding schools, those kind of to break the Uyghur family with their connections. Women always being very much targeting, and also they had this 48 code and conduct. When you not fit that, you will bring to the labor camp or force like a detention camp. Like women, our women is Muslim by religions, and some of them wearing, most of them I would say, wearing the hand scrub, or they will be take away their handcraft and they're cutting their clothes, even the document, and also sending a message having if you haven't more than 1 or 2 children, they will be, even if you're pregnant, they will drag in to do forced abortions, sterilizations, could destroy the women body, destroy their mentally, traumatize them, and the body, the home, and the memory, like for women entirely to become a target. So women kind of carry more weight for this genocide.
Because it becomes to like bodily autonomy, right? The right to have your own way and your own kind of right to what happens to your body as well. And if someone's doing that to you, then that's completely taken away. And that's obviously a really big impact of what a genocide also is in that sense. But beyond all the just horrific abuses that are happening, what do you see as the strengths and resilience of Uyghur women in the face of this kind of crisis?
Uyghur women's, I think I'm very proud with very much loads of Uyghur women. You know, we among the diaspora Uyghur activists, the women always bringing those kind of Uyghur food, Uyghur language, Uyghur music, dance still passed to the next generation, even in Excel, and many Uyghur women organize, study, heal, and build, teaching Uyghur language, saving those Uyghur music, son, mentoring the young people. Our resilience is quite practical and unstoppable, and the next generation is very important. So most of Uyghur women, as a mother, and like me myself as a mother for 3 kids, I trying to teach Uyghur language, let them know who we are, and even in living in Ireland, will cook Uyghur food, and not only the miserable, but also bring those glamour part of Uyghur history, because we had a long history, we had a beautiful culture, we have beautiful music, beautiful cuisine. That is also one way to build resilience.
Yeah, completely. And it's like you said, it's embedding the culture and having that still is kind of winning against what the whole suppression and what China is trying to aim and achieve, right, ultimately. You mentioned also transnational oppression, and I just wanted to hear more about that, because obviously it's not only just in China that Uyghurs are being oppressed, it's outside as well. So could you tell me more about that and how it's also impacted you?
Yeah, I think that transnational repression is really serious issue right now, because we being oppressed, our voice being cut when we're back in China. So I was seeking for freedom. I always dreaming coming to democratic country. When I see people in West, they have freedom to speak. I'm kind of really admire them. But when I come in, I'm still being self-censored. I couldn't speak what has happened to me, what has happened to Uyghur people because of my family back. This is one way they're controlling, cutting Uyghur voice. We always have to thinking about what will happen to our family. If I'm speaking out, they might entirely vanishing my family, my sister, brother will be retaliating them. harshly punish them. Even my elderly mother, 75 years old now, she been disappeared. It's been more than 13 years. I haven't seen her. I haven't visited her. I'm not able to go back to China, but she's also not able to even like apply passport. She had a passport. She came to visit me when 2012. Once she go back, her passport being confiscated and see her as a suspicious because her daughter living abroad. But I never involved politics before co-found this organization. Even when I co-found this organization, I was very censored with a logo, with a name, and we trying to go very gentle. And even when you look at our website, we said it's non-political, non-religious. It's just hold Uyghur culture, teaching Uyghur language in the heart of Ireland. But even with those small, tiny non-profit organizations establishment, that's caused my mom become a target. So yeah, this is really, really serious. And then the second thing, I don't feel safe even living in the democratic country because when I speak in Irish time, when I go into meeting in World Uyghur Congress, I start to notice the two Chinese man. It's not like ordinary citizen. It's like trained special person I can see from the appearance to follow me from Dublin airport to Sarajevo. This is one thing. And second, when I came, I can see people look at me. And then my mom get disappear, block me. She come back with different WeChat account, and the person sending me some horrible message when my mom in ICU. It's very upsetting. And I start to having a nightmare, start to develop panic attack. I was thinking, is that because of me speaking out causing so much trouble? It's always on my head, thinking a lot. But if I don't speak, we'll keep her safe. I don't know. So this, and I trying to bring this attention to Irish government, but sometimes it's very difficult. China is very powerful. They know how to block the news.
Yeah, I mean, it's just horror. It's horrible, and I have no words apart from, keep campaigning and from my perspective anyway, because I think it's not only on Uyghurs to speak out about it. I mean, obviously your experiences are what needs to be at the center, but I think, everyone needs to be able to look at this and recognize it, because I think the more it's recognized internationally, the more there is a likelihood of pressure being put on China. You mentioned you co-founded the Irish Uyghur Cultural Association. So what inspired you to create this space, and what were your hopes when you began?
When I began, I just feel because entire our ethnic group being targeted in China, they banned in Uyghur school. They not allow people speaking our language. Our religions is we don't have any freedom to practice religions, and we entirely cutting on with our root. I think it's very important and essential to keep our culture alive, pass to next generation. So my whole purpose is holding class for Uyghur children to study their language, and also short kind of history class or culture class. And then we will also have more softer like cooking or storytelling, music show, dance show, mainly just holding Uyghur language and culture in the heart of Ireland, pass to next generation. And meanwhile, I think that is very important to be a voice for Uyghur people. We've been long voiceless, especially in Uyghur community in Ireland. But then I've been harassed, followed, threatened, but I want to leave a message that could not stop us. We are still will be fight till the end.
And how does preserving and celebrating culture act again like a form of resistance as well? As you said, it just shows that you're not going to stop at any cost, right? But how does it help you with that as well? I guess with your well-being maybe as well?
Yeah, I think I actually was looking at the Uyghur people, many of not only Uyghur, even people from Wurzu or like falsely displaced, they always have some trauma carry on. But when you connected with your culture, with your root, with language, with music, art, cooking, and also practice some peace, that will be better. So this kind of give me to build a resilience, and also for my community, support each other. We can gather together, talk about our language. It's kind of make us still more stronger, also connected. And yeah, and I actually think and that is very important to keep our culture language alive
Um,
because of and also that is very important in China because of our culture, our identity. We're being targeted. It's many people said because of our religions. Yes, our religion also is a big part, but I believe every human should have freedom to practice their religion or whatever religion you believe. That is part of freedom. But with a culture, I born in a Uyghur family. I'm a Uyghur. That's is my really root. When you really develop, and it's kind of psychology point. Everyone want to know about their background, their root, their connections. So it's hugely important.
and what's your favorite part of your culture? I'm just curious.
I think Uyghur is very hospitality people, and we like to treat people. We like to share meals, and when we have fun, we always like to cook, and we love to gather together, laugh, talk, music, and most of Uyghur people love their music, and we love to dance. It's a lovely, warm culture, and when you look at the Central Asia history, even many Turkish when you say Uyghur, they're growing up to learn they are ancestors from Uyghur. So I'm very proud to be Uyghur. We had a glamour, we had a history, we had a culture. It's not just what only for now people when you see people talk about Uyghur, they just say the miserable part, Uyghur being targeted, being repressed. But in Uyghur language even contribute to the Turkic language. We have Mahmoud Kashgari, the man from my region, Kashgar. He is also a very famous scholar, contribute to Turkic language, and we have many good musicians, dancer.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of Uyghur music and it's incredible. It's there's so much like for me whenever I listen to it, so much just beauty in the way that it's like a performance. I mean, obviously when you sing it's a performance, but it's like it tells like a whole story in just a single thing. I just think it's beautiful. So if you haven't listened
Yeah,
to Uyghur music,
we use
definitely do.
music to keep the storytelling, also keep some kind of emotions, feeling. When you listen some of the music, you can trust back to those history, back to those time, how people like you can vividly to imagine people life there.
Exactly. And I guess also it's very different to the Irish community, but what was the response from the Irish community when you started the Irish Uyghur Cultural Association? And did you see cultural exchange building solidarity as well?
Still, many Irish people, like ordinary people, doesn't know much about Uyghur because we don't have much publicity. But when I would believe general Irish people is very sympathetic, very they have kind of similarity with Uyghur. When I first arrived in Ireland, I really love Ireland because the Irish people also love poetry, love music. They are very warm hospitality. So when we holding culture event, we always get good response. We also have loads of people returning back. This is one good thing. Yeah, but still, with our government and they are speaking out for Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, and beyond. I really, really appreciate, very much proud to be Irish. But I just really want to, how about the Uyghur genocide? Millions of Uyghurs disappeared. The Irish Uyghur, many of us, we can't reach our family back home. The camps, forced labor, family separation, and serious human rights violations are real. And I just really ask Irish government and people like solidarity should not be selected. Human rights are not a menu, and Uyghur are denied it to the basic freedom. They cannot even apply passport, travel, speak freely, or practice their religion without fear. Some of those serious, worse human rights crisis happening in our time, right before our eyes. I would be really appreciate if they can also add it on Uyghur human rights issue on their agenda.
As you said, it's the Uyghur genocide is often described as a hidden genocide because of, China does very well in hiding exactly what we're doing and packaging in a way that doesn't show that it's violating anything. But how do you think personal stories and testimony can break through that silence or denial as well?
At least when personal story being told, people will know this is real people. It's real life. It's happening. And also, when many people listen to Uyghur story, they feel it's like far wrong, like far away story. But when you see your neighbor, the real person actually suffering because of their identity, nothing more than because of I just want to be a Uyghur person. I hope that I believe that will be bring people attentions, that will be bring some solidarity for Uyghur people. And again, when we say about China, China is very powerful, becoming very strong. And when you go to store, everything is made in China. So I'm also seeing some dark and the disappointed part when it's coming to China. Most of people try to just to be gently push away or don't speak anything. In many countries actually recognize Uyghur genocide. Still, they never bring to the main agenda. That is disappointing.
Just to end on a more positive note, I guess, because this is all very, there's stuff that people need to know because obviously if you don't know, you can't do anything about it. But with all of that, what gives you strength and hope, even while carrying through so much pain and responsibility?
I still see many Uyghur people start very keen to learn about Uyghur language, even in Ireland. So when children learning Uyghur word in Ireland, France, who refuse to look away about Uyghur issue, it's kind of small victory for us. Each moment, each ally, each honest conversations, it's a hope, like a practice daily. And I know I'm not alone. And there's many people still stand for solidarity, stand for truth. And also the Uyghur language is very beautiful, very precious. And in the future, still there will be have children's willing to learn. That is building a path toward the hope. And I still believe our culture is deserved to celebrate. Maybe one day, like Uyghur people will live freely with dignity. And even maybe I'm hoping I will return back to my hometown, Kashgar, the place I was born.
And if you could send one message to a young Uyghur growing up under repression, what would you say to them? I know it's a really weird question, but I'm just curious if there's any kind of, I don't know, words of wisdom or kind of from what you've learned through your campaigning and all of that kind of stuff as well.
I want to say, after all the storm, we always have a sunshine. So hold on, keep your light. We might went through the dark corner, but we will see the light in the end. And all Uyghur people, one day, our daughter and son, will be living with their dignity. They will return to our roots.
It's a really difficult one because, the more I've campaigned for or been in the sphere of campaigning for Uyghurs, the more you kind of see that there is some hope because, the last government was very close in the UK anyway to recognise the Uyghur genocide as a genocide, and now it's kind of being pushed back. So I feel like when there's always progression, it always takes a few steps back, even though there are stories, there is proof, there is testimonies, there is everything to show that this is happening and this is a genocide. But I don't know whether it's just the fact because China, as you said, is such a powerful economic power that might be tough, but it's also because it's not only just Uyghurs, it's as you said, it's a lot of different ethnic minorities in China as well.
Yes, you're right. It's actually it's not. I personally will tell Uyghur people it's not. I don't want to because of this issue towards hatred for Chinese people. It's not about the people. even those Chinese people, when you look at the people from mainland China, they are victim because they being brainwashed. They are news being selected. The Great Wall in China, you don't have freedom to pick or read any news outside. They only select the news to feed your brain. That's the way the system go. And even Chinese themselves, like Alibaba owner, when you want to have a different opinion with Communist Party, you being targeted. That's why millions, some entrepreneurial Chinese, they always want to invest to migrate to free country, Europe, some other place, because of that amount of repression. That's why sometimes I ask myself, and I argue with some of my Chinese old friend who's living abroad, if China is that good, why you even coming to Europe? For what reason? And this is kind of a government, they want to select and pick some part of people. When you see China, there's two different parts of China, because I lived in Beijing for so many years, the metropolitan city, the amount of economic development, the IT technology development. You're only being benefit when you follow, when you all rule and regulation with communist ideology, communist party. But if you want to have a self like own idea, or you know that is wrong, or targeting Uyghur people, Tibetan, Hong Kongers, that is not correct, then you will be cracked on. So it's very difficult to live in China with the mind for freedom.
And I just had one more question. It was more of, when you worked in Beijing and, you had such a great career and working for a really great company. Was it only the systematic oppression that kind of is the biggest issue? Or is there a way of, how people treat to you as well? Is there just discrimination in terms of ordinary people discriminating against Uyghurs or people of ethnic minorities? Or is it just the governmental?
When I mentioned in the early, because of the government sponsors systematically build the kind of PR to see Uyghur as a disloyal to the Communist Party. When you talk about Uyghur, they always the name is like we are backward, disloyal. We not really fit with the uniform China. So this kind of branding for Uyghur, we being targeted. Even in Beijing, I work in multinational company. Every time when I go to meeting and they see where you're from, which country, if I say I'm Uyghur from China, they always see you as a second-class citizen. The amount of repressions, only because of my ethnic group, that I faced a lot of this kind. It's my experience. And then the second is about passport. Uyghur people are always very difficult to apply passport. Even I was working in Beijing, my hooker was in Beijing, and my company should have writing letters, sponsor, and go through whole lot few months process. If it's Han Chinese, they can just apply probably similar like the one in Ireland. And also in the border, we are always being targeted. And from that 2000, they already have loads of camera. Now it's the technology is more developing. They use AI technology, metabiotic system, civilians, facial recognition. They will know immediately you are Uyghur from ethnic group or you are Tibetan. And then that time we always have separate line. Uyghur people will be staying one line in the border because of my work, free forwarding transportation. I used to travel a lot. When I came back, even in Kazakhstan border, and the foreigner and Chinese always go through quickly, and Uyghur people will be questioning, checking your personal phone screening, checking your luggage, and always questioning if you meet any Uyghur people abroad, what conversation you had. It's just being Uyghur is very difficult.
It's just when you hear stuff like that, it's like you're listening to like a film of something happening, right? And not thinking that it actually happens in a day-to-day situation where people have done nothing but be themselves. I just want to say thank you for sharing your personal stories and everything in between, especially like finding out how you came about with the Irish Uyghur Cultural Association as well. Because as you said, I think it's really great that, you know, you can still pass down your culture to your children and people around in your community as well, and even inform the Irish community of what being a Uyghur also entails, especially with music and the food, because that's all always great part of any culture.
Thank you so much for having me. Being Uyghur is painful and difficult, but also we carry the responsibility and a beautiful language, beautiful culture. So I feel proud still to be Uyghur. We carry each other in diaspora. We give hope for each other.